All right, everyone, let's do this. Welcome to our podcast. It's called Is Breakfast Included? Thank you for joining us today. On the show this week, I sit down with a guy named Danny Marianino. We talked about well, it's not a new book. He put it out 10 years ago. He just re-released the 10th anniversary edition. It's called Don't Ever Punch a Rock Star, a collection of hate mails and other crazy rumors. If you don't know what this book's about, search Danny Marianino on YouTube and you'll find out what it's about. We talked about a couple of his other books, It Blows My Mind, and a bunch of other stuff. Danny is a super cool guy, and I've wanted to talk to him for a while. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this interview. Let's check it out. Cool. Tell everyone who you are, brother.
I'm Danny Marianino. I formerly of hardcore band Northside Kings. I was in another band called Cause for Alarm back in the day a little bit. And do some writing, got a few books, and I love movies and sausage and pepper sandwiches, pizza, love pizza.
Right on. So you're originally from New Jersey, Originally
from New Jersey. I moved to Arizona when I was 18, and at this point here, I'm almost 50. So, I call myself a native at this point. People say, "Where you're from?" I say Arizona. They don't believe me because of the way I talk, but yeah.
What part of Arizona are you from?
I live in like Scottsdale, like not like the nice Scottsdale, like the older Scottsdale, but it's becoming the nice Scottsdale because they're redoing the whole neighborhood. Like they only could build so far north till you're really too far out of town. So they came back. Like my house was built in the 50s, so they've come back to this neighborhood now, and they're totally revamping it. But when I moved here, it was like the shitty end of Scottsdale. Like I'm on the border of Tempe. I could literally throw a rock almost and be in Tempe. I'm 5 minutes from ASU.
Oh, right on. You ever notice that, man? When you live in a city, you say, "Where do you live?" Like you said, Scottsdale, and then you'll hear, but not the good part of Scottsdale. Like every city has a good part and a not so good part.
I personally think that I'm in the good part because there's so much more culture and more shit in my neighborhood than there is in North Scottsdale. North Scottsdale, every house is a cookie cutter house. I mean, one of my best friends, I've been going to his house for 10 years, and if his car's not parked in the driveway, I don't know where the fuck his house is. Like, I can't figure it out. They all look exactly the same.
Yeah.
By me, there's older restaurants, mom and pop places that have been around for a million years. I got a great restaurant called Frank and Lupe's, an old Mexican place that's been in Arizona for, 50 years. Go up North Scottsdale, you got chain.
Yeah.
So, I like my neighborhood a little bit better, personally. I'm glad I'm at where I'm at. But when you move to Scottsdale, this isn't the part of Scottsdale that people think,
Right on. Well, man, we're here to talk about your book, Don't Ever Punch a Rock Star. And we're going to talk about your other books too, but this happened in 2004.
Yeah. My hair's been the same since. I haven't had any change in that. That's for sure.
Do you get tired of people asking you about that, man?
It was part of my band's history, so it is what it is. I mean, do I get tired of it? No. I mean, I don't like to tell the whole story over and over. And believe me, I don't want anybody to think I'm talking smack about anybody, because at this point it's humorous to me.
Yeah.
Where, back then I was a little bit more angrier at the situation. But listen, it is what it is. What are you gonna do? I can't complain about it. It happened. Life happens, and things happen, and everybody does shit.
So in your book, you talk about that day, how it just led up to like you just being angry. Did you start? I mean, did that happen early? Did you realize what was going to happen to your bands, the other bands that didn't get to play? We've all been in bands where we're on those kind of bills, and usually it's the headliner, some national band, that starts calling the shots and doing this, and you start seeing the bands drop off. Like, okay, we can't do this. Not going to be enough time. Sound checks run long. Did you kind of feel that going into it that day?
First off, we showed up with in the greatest of attitude of all, because it was couple caravans of us. So it wasn't just my band that had the issue that day. There was another band called Rapid Fire, which was one of my best friends. They played the night before in the Phoenix show, and they were playing the show up in Tuba City as well. So we traveled up with like a whole group of friends, and we were partying. We were having fun. We stopped and got ice cream on the way up. I mean, we were a fun band, so we were in a great mode. When we got there, we started to see things were maybe a little unorganized, and then there was supposed to be 2 stages, but now it was down to 1, and I could see the promoter was sweating it. And then his crew started being a little weird, and Danzig said some nasty shit to my buddy's wife, and I stopped him from fighting the guy like early in the day because he already wanted to fight the guy. Things just got worse and worse as the day went on,
Yeah. Well, as I was reading the book, man, you would think like, of course you have all the hate mail and the comments that you were sent, I guess, in the months and years immediately following that. But your book is really, it just kind of tells the story of you. You admit to being bullied, and that sets something in your mind from early on that you didn't like bullies. And you said other than if people judged you by this one incident, that they're completely wrong, that you're just a guy that you can get along with everyone. You like to have a good time, like you said. Was that important for you to get through in the book, other than just to kind of, because you really don't touch on that video. It's one chapter, and then the rest is really, it talks about you, what kind of person you are.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to come across, to people that, listen, I'm a fun guy. I love movies, and I love hanging out with my buddies, and cigars, and whiskey and bourbon, and pizza, and we barbecue, and I got like all kinds of buddies that we hang out like often. We all got pretty cool wives that are cool with all the guys hanging out all the time, and that's what playing. And to me, playing in a band is not playing quite the music. It's the camaraderie of your friends and doing something together with them.
Yeah.
And, because we put out a couple albums on some labels and stuff, and we did some tours, but we weren't trying to make it in music. We were just having fun with the band. We were lucky enough to be able to record. A record label put the stuff out and not have to live on the road.
Yeah.
Because that's tough. That's a tough lifestyle. I'm going to tell you, it's a certain type of person's got to be built for that, But I kind of, I wanted people to know, and that's, I remember reading Get in the Van from Henry Rollins years ago, and I said, boy, if I had the opportunity to read this when I was a kid, maybe in school, I may never have played in a band, and I kind of wanted to show another side of playing in the band. And this part of this book, this thing with him was part of that chapter of me playing music and what I went through,
Yeah. Because I'm sure being in Northside Kings and your other bands, you played with other acts that were of that level. And then it's this one bad experience that you're kind of defined by for several years. No one talks about you playing with the other bands. And, like you said, you played with the Misfits minus Glenn and got along great with Jerry Only and Doyle. And which
Doyle didn't play that show, I don't think. If I recall. But yeah, Jerry Only, first off, we showed up at the venue, and the dude had like all these apple pies and cherry pie. I don't know where the fuck he got all these pies, but he gave us a cherry pie, and he's like, "Hey, you want a pie?" We're like, "Oh yeah." So we're eating like pies with him and shit, and hanging out. And after the show, this is the thing, and this is the difference type of when you see a musician who acts like this versus the way other musicians act. He got done playing. He's in that fucking garb, all that shit he's wearing, like he's a member of GWAR. He comes off the stage. He didn't go backstage. He walked off the stage, went out into the crowd and talked to kids for like an hour. He took pictures with kids and hung out. And we sat at the bar drinking and we watched the whole thing. And like at the end of the night, he came over. I'm like, I can't believe you did that and just stood here and did that all after that. They played like an hour, like a rough hour set.
Yeah.
And he was like, listen, these kids are here, for me. I'm going to give it back to them,
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was the difference of behavior versus the other guy who could give a fuck less for anybody else but himself. And,
Yeah. So it's funny. We were just in Tampa. I work for Duran Duran.
Yeah, we were just in Tampa, tech, right?
Yeah. And Jerry came out to the Tampa show, and I saw him. He was with his family because our stage manager is their production manager, the Misfits. And I saw him, and I didn't want to go and say hi to him. But I watched him, knew every word, they were over by me on the side stage, and then I told him, you can go watch out front, along the barricade. He's dancing, he's singing every song, he's having a great time. And I told my buddy, I was like, man, I wanted to go say hi to him because, man, you should have. He eats that shit up when people recognize him.
And yeah, he would have been, and you know what? He would have been super cool.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between what he's like and like other musicians are like. Because there's other musicians I've met through the years that were dicks like he was. And then there's other ones that I met that were super fucking cool guys. Guys that just, you were so blown away by how nice they were.
Yeah.
And inviting. I remember I met Tony Iommi, Black Sabbath. This would have been my dream show of all time. So it was New Year's Eve, 1999. It was Soulfly, Pantera, Megadeth, Slayer, and Black Sabbath. All on one show, Chase Field. The guitar player at the time from Soulfly was the guy Logan from Machine Head.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know what the fuck, the guy was on drugs or whatever his fucking deal was. He didn't show up to sound check. They couldn't find him. They couldn't reach him. I knew how to play guitar on most of the songs because when Max was starting Soulfly, I was down in the band room with him while he was trying guys out, and I was doing second guitar. So I knew a lot of the songs. And I really only had to learn like 5 or 6 other songs to kind of get through the set. And I could have, no problem. So I went down. We did sound check. I got to play at the baseball stadium, I spent the whole day fucking around, sliding into first base, second base, third base. I found their locker rooms. I mean, I was like a dick all day. And then the guy showed up. So they let him play the show, but they fired him that night, So, but anyways, I'm backstage. I watch Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath comes off the stage. Tony Iommi walks right past me. We make eye contact. And I said, man, that was fucking awesome. And he looked at me and he just hands me his guitar pick. And he goes, I just finished with this pick. It's yours. He goes, thank you for coming here. Thank you. Like, okay. And we talked for a couple minutes and he was like so fucking cool. And believe me, the guy just got off stage. I know what it's like to get off stage and be sweating, and I look like a mess when I'm done playing. I fried guitar picks from sweat. Nobody does that. EMG 81s, I went through 2 of them on a guitar from sweating on them. But yeah, he was so cool. And then that same night, I met the singer of Ugly Kid Joe, who was a dick, a super dick. So he showed up with Logan from Machine Head to the show. Had this feather boa on. He was all like LA'd out, and I was like, hey man, how you doing? Or whatever. I don't know what I said, but he kind of like was like shitty to me. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I was like, oh yeah. I'm like, oh wait a minute, we met before because we. In high school, my high school band played this place in Jersey, and Ugly Kid Joe got on the show, and they played before my shitty high school band. So I totally was like, "Oh yeah, I remember you. You opened up for my high school band at Obsessions in New Jersey." And that he was so fucking mad. But fuck you, don't be a dick to people because people will clown you back. Some people don't.
It will.
That's the problem. Everybody should be clown people back.
I've always in my experience, I think the bigger the I mean, when you said Tony Iommi, I mean, look at that. Like that's my guy. But the bigger I don't want to say star, but the higher platform they have, the cooler they are. Well, you had all these. I'm sure you've told this story before. You had all these emails and so this video went viral before viral was a thing. Like I remember seeing it on, I can't remember the website.
It was probably E-Bombs World.
E-Bombs World is where I saw it, and I like to this day, man, I will watch that video once a month. That video and the Ronda Rousey knockout videos. Like I like seeing her get knocked out.
Yeah, she got really mangled on one of those fights.
Oh man. But you started getting these messages, these emails, well, you're banned. They were all pretty much directed at you. How hard was it compiling them and choosing which ones you were going to put in the book, or are they all in the book?
It was I really tried to take the ones that I found some humor in. So before I even thought about the book or any of that, I would take the ones that were funny and put them on like Word documents.
Mm-hmm.
And like I put like hate mail entry number this or whatever. Some of them I kept emails to, some of them I didn't. Like the hate mail entries were actual emails that I got, but I didn't always save the email addresses for those people. And I got a lot of them, so I deleted a lot of them too. But we would read these. Me and my friends would be like, we'd get together and we'd kind of catch a laugh. And somebody was like, "Man, you ought to like put a book together with this stuff." And I'm like, I don't want to put a book together just of shitty messages from people. And then I read Rodney Dangerfield's book. I got it over here somewhere. It's Not Easy Being Me. Yeah. And Rodney Dangerfield wrote this book that's just brilliant before he died. At the end of every page on the bottom, he's got his little Rodney one-liners. And I was like, okay, I can kind of see how to do this. And my goal was originally to put like a little piece of hate mail on every page. But there was so much, and some of it was a lot bigger than a sentence. And some of them were paragraphs, and some of them relate to different stories. It just kept kind of evolving to be what it became.
Right on.
And really the first version of the book, because I originally self-released it back in 2012, I edited, which I'm not an editor. I went back. My tone was a lot angrier at the time. So I didn't really like how the book came across. A year or two later, I went back and I don't really vibe this vibe anymore. And I always wanted to kind of redo it. It's like playing in a band. You got an album that maybe you didn't like the recording quality of so much. I always wish you could go back and redo that album.
Yeah,
well, that's kind of what I did with this book. I went back in, I cleaned it up, and then I put it out with a really cool music publisher called DiWulf Publishing. They do so many awesome books, all music related, and they fixed it up and cleaned it up, and got the 10th anniversary with 12% more hate mail.
So Gloria Calavera does the forward in this for you. Do you still have a relationship with her and Max?
Oh, yeah. The reason why I had her do the forward, so the original forward in the original book was Kamal from the Jerky Boys. But when I redid it, I wanted to have somebody who kind of went through a similar circumstance. And she did. When Sepultura, Max left Sepultura, she was like blamed like it was her fault. And back before there was email, people wrote letters.
Yeah.
And their house got bombarded with these letters that were horrible from people and threats and people stalking them and hiding in their yard. I had to go over the house one day and chase a guy out of there was a guy hiding like in the roof. Like just crazy stuff. And they went through a lot of insanity. And so she really, I knew she could relate to it. Like people say, why didn't you get Max to write it? And I'm like, because she went through this and stayed more resilient than anybody that I could ever think of.
Yeah.
So, kind of inspired me to keep my resilience strong as well. And she was perfect. So I had a couple people in mind, but she was really my top person, and she said yes immediately. So,
are you pretty protective of them?
They're great people.
Yeah.
I tell you, I mean, I'll put it this way to give you an example of the kind of people they are. When I was at Cause for Alarm, somebody broke into our band room and robbed our room, and we were like leaving on tour at no gear, and Max just gave me a guitar. And it was not just like a regular guitar. Like he recorded the Nail Bomb album on it. He recorded like a lot from Chaos AD on it. Like this album, this guitar was used on some like insanely legendary records.
Yeah.
That he just was like, here, it's yours.
Wow, you still got it?
Oh yeah. I took that. Listen, I recorded every Northside Kings album with that guitar. I recorded the Cause for Alarm album with that guitar. I broke a fucking guy's collarbone with that guitar. It survived a house fire. My house burned down, and my guitar and my Slayer sneakers, a fire burned around it. It's the craziest thing. It got lost. It was missing for years. I mean, there's so many stories with this guitar. Guys in other bands used it. Like when I toured with Hatebreed, the old guitar player from Hatebreed used it every single night on the tour. It sounds like it sounds unbelievable. It's an Epiphone. It's not even a Les Paul. It's all fucked up. It's got holes in it. I put liquid concrete in the holes. And it's got one knob left. The toggle switch is broken off. It's got a crack in the head. So much horrible shit been through this with this guitar, and I bought other guitars that tried to create this guitar again, and it's just it won't. It's not happening.
Right on. Well, I asked you that question because in just kind of doing some research for this talk that we're having, there was a story from a guy who said that he was there with you that day. He worked for a band called Torque, and
I kind of
And he said that you were really angry, and he said, "I've only seen him that angry one other time. Is you guys were in LA at a Soulfly show, and the guys from Sepultura showed up with the new singer, and he said that that's the only other time he saw you that angry."
So yeah, that was Oompa was his nickname.
Oompa, yeah. I didn't want to say his name.
Oompa, yeah. He's a little exaggerating on that interview, but he's got the story close to being right. But we were. I mean, listen, we were definitely angry. Put it this way: we just like he had a contract to play at a certain time, we had a contract to play before him.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, I'm not moving my time. I'm playing at 9:45 or 10 o'clock, and I don't give a fuck who likes it or not." And I'm like, none of us like it that you won't push it back. None of us want to play after you. There was 4 bands in total. We'll play after you, but you have to announce there's other bands playing. Because if you don't, this place is going to clear out. People will stay because it's Tuba City. There's not a lot up there. It's 3.5 hours from Flagstaff. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's their own Native American community. Bands don't really get up there too often. I mean, I played there a couple times with Hatebreed, I think, a couple of Soulfly shows. So it wasn't, anybody that played after, people would have still stayed. But if you tell people the show is over, they're going to go home. And that's what he did. So, at that point, I went fucking bonkers. But, listen, I mean, nobody expects to talk to a guy for 30 seconds and to turn into that,
Yeah.
Like he bugged out quick.
Yeah. One of my favorite.
I think he does that to a lot of people,
Yeah. I've heard. I've never met him. But and I can't speak for it. But I've met people who know him, people who have crossed paths with him. One of my favorite parts of the book is when you're saying right after it happened, and Dan Stone walks by you, telling you, "I got all that shit on tape," and just an evil laugh as he walked off.
Thank God too, because he tried to press charges on me for assault, and I was like, "Whoa, the guy came at me. He's a black belt." I'm like, I play Street Fighter too. Like I'm good at E-Honda. I'm not a fighter, So really, it should be the other way around. And then they wanted me to press charges on him, and I'm like, I just want to get the fuck out of here. I just want to go home.
Right. Right.
Left.
Just a couple more questions about that. Then we're going to move on to your other books. Are you still dealing with any fallout from that all these years later? Do you ever run across the oddball message of somebody that, because I've told people, have you ever seen this video? And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And there's some people who've never seen it, younger cats that I'm
Yeah.
touring with, and I show them, and they're like, holy shit. So, are you still getting the oddball message here and there, or?
Once in a blue moon, but for the most part, I think the book really stopped that.
Yeah.
For a couple reasons. One, I posted everybody's emails and names in the book. So,
Which I love, by the way.
Thank you. I thought that was a great idea. And I spoke to some publishers back when I originally did this, and they were like, you can't do that. I'm like, why? It's all over the internet. I'm like, they're posting on Honda's website. That was one that's in the book that blows my mind. But like, they're posting on YouTube. They're posting on all these places. They're sending me direct messages. They're posting on their own Facebook pages or MySpace pages back then at the time. Why can't I say that this person said this about me? And they were like, no, you shouldn't do that. We're not, you got to take that out. I'm like, well, fuck that. I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
And, but it kind of calmed down. And listen, there's still people that post stuff, and you'll see some guy will post that video on his Instagram page, and I'll know about it because somebody I'm friends with somewhere will probably tag me in it. And then I go, what's this tag? And then I go to it, and it's that video. And, there's people that laughing about it, and then there's people that are pissed. Oh, that fat guy probably died already, or that's what you don't sucker punch people. Like, it's hard to sucker punch a guy that like pushes you and then squares off with you,
Right.
looking at you face to face with his hands clenched in a fist, who teaches Jeet Kune Do. That's not, you can't sucker punch that position. That doesn't add up. But people have a hard time, accepting things that they like, or don't like. They don't want to believe things. That's today, from politics to everything. People just, if they don't like what it is, they just can't believe it. They just can't wrap their heads around it. It's a weird thing that we've become today as people.
Yeah.
Just fucking accept it. Things happen. I got beat up before. It's happened to me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it was a quote from the movie Friday. Everyone's scared to take an ass whipping these days.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
You mentioning Jeet Kune Do, I think Bruce would have been disappointed in him that he didn't see it coming.
I think Bruce would have been disappointed in him for just laying his hands on anybody in the first place, because Jeet Kune Do was about self-defense, not about offense.
Yeah.
This isn't a kumite.
Man, while you were getting all these messages, did it ever affect you? Because like I said, you talk in the book about being bullied. You talk about how you hate bullies. Did it ever affect you mentally? Did you ever like bring you down? Like, God damn, like if I could change it, I would,
A little bit, I went through a little phase where it really was starting to get under my skin. And I mean, anybody that tell you that things like that don't get under your skin is lying to you.
Yeah.
I really tried my best not to like read stuff or look at stuff, but even my friends, they're doing it because they think it's funny. Oh, look at this! You got a mention on this website, and I'm like, I don't want to see it. I don't give a fuck. Like don't send it to me. But yeah, I mean, listen, if the whole internet was talking shit about you, wouldn't you feel a little funky?
Yeah.
But then think about, like, you got to think about today on a larger scale of things, like what these celebrities go through. I mean, can you imagine, like, just a perfect example? I saw that Haunted Mansion movie.
Yeah.
I really like the new one, by the way. I'm not a big Jared Leto fan, but Jared Leto was great as the Hatbox Ghost, And I'm sure there's so many people that were complaining about the Disney ruined the Haunted Mansion or this or that. And you got to imagine that, like, a Jared Leto or anybody in that movie looks up reviews and sees something about themselves and goes, oh man, this kind of sucks. And if it's over and over and over and over, it can get under your skin. I've learned to kind of just not, I've learned that everybody's got an opinion today. And everybody's got a platform to have an opinion.
Yeah.
So where before, maybe you didn't hear things so much, today, if you look for it, you're going to find it.
Yeah, you can't help. It's, I was on my social media the day, and I posted an article about Taylor Swift giving her truck drivers each 100 grand.
That was
As a
awesome, right?
Awesome. And then as I found out, as I dug more and more into it, I realized she bonused her entire organization, like huge bonuses. And this is just the midway part of the tour. This isn't even an end of the tour. But the comments after that, it's like every comment after that should be like, that's cool. This is amazing. Good for her. That people had opinions like of why they'd rather see this than her do that. Of course, it's a tax write. Who gives a fuck if it's a tax write-off? These people got
it's still a nice gesture.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable gesture because listen, you tour, you're away from your home, you're constantly working, you're sleeping in hotels. Sometimes you're sleeping in a nice hotel, sometimes you walk in a hotel and it looks like somebody murdered somebody in a bathroom. I saw a hotel covered in blood once, and I didn't even fucking question it. I walked back to the guy and said, "We're leaving. Here's the key. Keep the fucking money. Goodbye." Like we fucking boogied. You to anything like that is tremendous help, and especially for those guys that were down on work for 2-3 years because of COVID, and they couldn't fucking earn a living that they did, and they lost money because of that time period. To have her be able to go here you go, and shuffle off some money to the rest of the people. She doesn't have to do that. She keep her money. It's her fucking money. Look what Billy Joel did to fucking Liberty DeVito.
I know, right?
Guy asked for $5 more. He fired him. That's the guy you want to complain about. And I love Billy Joel, believe me. But to see what she did, that's great. But people are jerk offs. They're going to complain.
Yeah.
People just want to complain.
Yeah. Well, man, that's you were talking about making lists, how you compiled, you made a list of everything. Let's go into your next book. Blows my mind. That's just a collection of lists things that bother you.
Yeah, I guess I'm complaining in a form of complaining there. I'm calling everybody else jerk offs for complaining, but here I am.
But that's a normal everyday thing. I was going through it and I'm like, that pisses me off too. There's just I can't even think of one right now, but as I'm going through them, I'm like, there's just everyday things.
Well, every day I write stuff down because I experience something in the course of the day that aggravates me. Not all of it's good, so not all of it actually makes a book, but I've been keeping these lists of, I'm a list guy, so I've been keeping these lists since I was a kid. I mean, and I got a memory for really dumb, unimportant stuff. Like I have a book called The Belligerent Book of Movie Quotes, and it's all the meanest movie quotes you could think of ever. And then most of them I remembered because I just watch a lot of movies. And how could you forget that Smokey and the Bandit is filled with great movie quotes that are mean, or The Big Lebowski, or Step Brothers, or whatever. So it blows my mind. I started looking through those lists that I kept of things I was annoyed by, and I'm like, okay, I can see some humor in this if I tweak it like this and do this, and I can make a book that's not like me being a dick about things. It's just like I don't like drinking coffee from a glass, and I hate drinking water from a coffee cup. Why? I don't know, but it's a thing. And when you tell people this, they go, yeah, I don't like to drink water from a coffee cup. There's something weird about the porcelain that it's a weird, odd thing. And it blows my mind. There's a big collection of dumb shit like that, told in a funny way with a character that this guy, Mick Lambro from Australia, does a lot of music stuff. He did Slapshots, album cover, Agnostic Front shirts, Murphy's Law. He kind of found my voice in a character with art illustrations, and we made this cool book.
Right on. Once that was your second book, correct?
Actually, my fifth book.
It was your fifth book. It was the most recent book.
Well, the most recent one is the re-release of Don't Ever Punch a Rockstar, but It Blows My Mind came out last year, and then I didn't do a book since 2000 and 16 or 17, I did a book called To Make Matters Worse, which is more biography stories from when I was a kid in New Jersey, getting into trouble in high school. It's hilarious. I did an audio book for it as well. It's on Audible, and then the print version. And then I did another book. I told you the movie quote book, the belligerent book of movie quotes. I did another book called The Mega Book of Revenge Films. I love revenge films, so I did a whole book. It's got interviews with like Heather Langenkamp from Nightmare on Elm Street, and Fred the Hammer Williamson, Martin Cove from The Karate Kid. It's a lot of cool stuff in there.
Yeah, you mentioned in Don't Ever Punch a Rock Star, your idea of a good time is just sitting at home ordering pizza with your friends and watching Rudy Ray Moore movies.
Oh, I love Dolomite, man. There's a great book that just came out that this guy who's been working with Rudy Ray Moore up until he died on like a biography and kind of befriended Rudy Ray Moore. So he was with him like the last 8 to 10 years of his life. He did a book called Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself. And he did a Kickstarter for it. I think he still has copies available. I think the website's The Real Dolomite, but it's amazing. He went into Rudy Ray Moore's whole history and the albums that he released, singles and music and singing and comedy and movies. It's great.
Yeah.
Not to get off track.
No. You don't have to. We can talk about anything. I was going to tell you when I was a late teens, me and a buddy of mine used to constantly watch a movie called Candy Tangerine Man, which was in that sort of blaxploitation, genre is the Rudy Ray Moore movies. And we'd watch it at least twice a day. He did that for a whole summer, and we'd walk around just quoting it. People thought we were crazy. Me and my best friend, when you were talking about the movie, the belligerent movie quote book, my best friend Javier and I, we used to talk to each other in just movie quotes. Like I'd be like, "Hey man, I'll be back later," and he'd go, "Well, bye," from Tombstone.
Yeah.
But it was just that, that's the next book I'm going to order of yours, because
it's a cheap one. It's like $5.95 or something on
because there's
Amazon.
nothing better than just fucking classic movie quotes, and it's not even the ones that everyone knows. But
there's a lot of like hidden gems in that book as well, that from movies that are like straight up B movies to like stuff from like Big Trouble in Little China, or like I said, Step Brothers and stuff, like big movies and small movies. It's funny, I got a whole group of friends that, like, if you were just to go up on Facebook and just literally post something from Smokey and the Bandit, like, remind me there's no way you came from my loins. Remind me when I get home to punch your mama in the face. It would be then an onslaught of comments from guys like, you sounded a little bit taller on the radio. And the next guy would be like, give me a Diablo sandwich and a Dr. Pepper. It would go down the list of my friends.
Damn, Daddy, he had a lot of friends.
Yeah, we love movies.
That's one of my favorites, by the way, Smokey and the Bandit.
It's such a brilliant movie. Me too. I laugh at I could laugh at just even like the little shit that Jack Gleason does in that. Like when he walks out of the diner and he's got the toilet paper on his glasses and the waitress comes out. And it's such a subtle little line, but he turns around and he goes, "That's ass." Like it wasn't like it was like a great comedic, brilliant thing, but he turned it into that,
Yeah. That movie has so many good. It's so well written, and you couldn't have done that movie with anyone else but those guys.
Can you imagine anybody else? And people like talk about Burt Reynolds is so cool. Fuck Burt Reynolds in that movie, man. Jackie Gleason,
Jerry Reed
in the fucking truck with the dog.
Man, I see behind you. You've got all these like figures, action figures. Like you say, you love comics. Are you still an avid collector?
Yeah, I wouldn't say avid. I still buy stuff. A couple of my really good friends are into comic books. One of my best buddies, Jay Photos, he did that comic Lock and Key, which is Stephen King's son, Joe Hill. He did the entire series, the colorist on that. And he's got a lot of his own series stuff that I do a little writing on. He had a series called 68, which was on Image Comics. They put it out at the same time The Walking Dead came out, but The Walking Dead got legs, and 68 didn't quite. And 68 is way cooler. It's like the zombie apocalypse happening the same year as Night of the Living Dead, but not just in Pittsburgh, in the middle of the Vietnam War. So it's like a Platoon or Full Metal Jacket meets the zombie apocalypse. A great series. So I do a lot with comics because I help him out with stuff, and I'm always around. Him and a whole group of guys, the whole Phoenix community with comic books. I know a lot of guys around here.
Right on. You got anything else coming up?
Yeah, I'm actually doing. I'm going to be at Las Cruces Comic Con as a guest this year, August 19th and the 20th, and I'll have all my books at that. And then I'm doing Tucson Comic Con Labor Day weekend, September 1st to the 3rd, and then for Don't Ever Punch a Rockstar in Phoenix, rather than do a book signing at a bookstore, I'm doing it at a dive bar called TT's Roadhouse, classic old bar here in Phoenix. And I'm going to do the book signing from 3 to 4, and then this awesome local hardcore band called Overstand is playing at 4 o'clock to 5, like a matinee type thing. So I'll do that there, and I got a couple other things in the works in Vegas and New York possibly. So
right on. Are you you ever thought about movies, like writing a script?
I am working on something. I don't want to talk about it too much. I'm in a couple shitty movies though.
Oh, really? Which one?
I get killed in every movie. I'm in this like really bad movie called Vampageddon, and I play this stoner in the movie. I can't remember my name, but I get my head punched off in it. There's another movie I'm in called Death Factory 2, Bloodletting, and I play a junkie. It's on Tubi, actually. I play a junkie. I'm in like the first 10 minutes of the movie, and I get shot in the head. I'm always getting killed and everything. Couple lines, dead, end of story.
Right on. Right on. You still making music?
I'm not really writing anymore. People ask me that question, and we're going to play some shows possibly next year with Northside Kings. We've been kind of kicking it around. We did a show in 2017. We never really broke up. We just stopped playing, So we may do a couple of shows next year. I really want to get us on Punk Rock Bowling. That's my goal for next year. But I can't write, and I don't think I'd ever go back and write another Northside Kings album because I'm just not in that frame of mind anymore. Back then, I was full of angst. I was engulfed in that mindset of a hardcore band, and we were playing shows and fighting and drinking, and it was like a whole different thing. Today, I don't know. I'm not really. I don't have that mindset. I couldn't write that angry. I could write the music all day, but I couldn't write those kind of lyrics. So if I was to write another Northside Kings album with lyrics, what am I going to sing about? Fucking, I like pepperoni on my pizza. I just, I don't have that. I'm not in that mode anymore. So, play a show would be fun, but I don't foresee myself doing, if I do music, not writing a Northside Kings album.
Yeah, yeah. If Danny Marianino right now, the guy I'm talking to, ran into the Danny in 2004, knowing everything that's happened to you in your life, would you go up to him and say, "Don't do that"? Don't even go approach the guy.
Yes.
You would?
I totally would. And I'll tell you the main reason why. Number one, I don't think anybody should be fighting. Things could be resolved a little differently. And clearly that was not going to be the path with him. But number two, he learned absolutely nothing. I mean, it's done nothing to change his attitude. He's messing with people at that festival with the French onion soup and flipping out about fucking space heaters. He's too cold on stage. He kicked a guy in the face at another show over the phone, cell phone thing. Now you can't take a fucking camera to one of the shows. That's my fault. Fans got to sneak their phones in to get a little video. of the Misfits or Danzig playing a show. They got to put them in these sealable bags, but nothing changed. So there was no good effect from it, other than the fact you would think I would have humbled him, but I didn't. I'm the one that got humbled.
Well, man, I appreciate you taking the time. Like I said, like I told you before the thing, like I've wanted to talk to you for a while. I've always watched that video. I've always I would never be the one to send you hate mail. My mail would be a little different. My message would be a little different. But I know you're busy, man, but I do appreciate you doing this, man, and talking about the book. I know you've been talking about it a lot for the last, fuck, that was 2004, 22 years ago. How's my math? Is that my math? Is that good? No? 20 years ago?
Just about this.
19, listen, 20
it happened. The fight happened in 2004. So next year is going to be 20 years, July 4th or July 3rd.
Yeah.
And then the book came out in 2012. So, you're talking a little over 10 years from the book release.
Yeah. My math is terrible.
But listen, you obviously you come through town, you're touring and stuff. You come to Phoenix, you got my info. Hit me up. Let's go out. We'll get some food. I'll take you out to eat. Maybe come over to the house. I'll barbecue. I really make good Chinese ribs right now. I got the Chinese. When you go to a Chinese restaurant, you get the bright red ribs. Yeah. I figured it out, and I figured it out like a fucking boss. They're so good. So you come over. I'll feed you. We'll hang out.
Don't tempt me, man, because I will. I will hit you. I fucking love that, man. I wish I would have talked to you this summer. We were in Phoenix. Dude, it was so hot there last summer. Or it was September we were there. There was no cold water. It was just hot water in the shower.
I got the bidet, for the toilet. And it's like I'm shooting a jacuzzi fucking hot water jet up my ass when I go to the bathroom. Because we've been in a hot spell. It's been over 110 degrees. It just broke. We were on a record for like 20-something days. Yeah. 118, 117. Everything fucking died. My whole yard's dead. I mean, we went away for a week, and I came back and forget it. God, cactuses died.
I live in Jersey City. I live in Jersey City now, but I grew up in Texas, and I'm talking to my friends and my family, and they're going through the same thing right now. It's just, blistering there. I'll be there next week for.
You got to go to West Orange. You go to Jimmy Buff's and get an Italian hot dog. Look it up when we get off of this.
All right, stay on when we say bye. I'll get that information from you. But man, where can people find you online? Where can they find out about the book? Where can they order all your books?
You can find me for the most part at It Blows My Mind, which is pretty basic for the book. I mean, I got an Instagram that's at It Blows My Mind. I'm on Threads. I'm on TikTok. I make videos almost every other day about things that blow my mind. I got a website, dannymarianino.com or totalgavone.com, which is Italian slang. The books are on Amazon as well. You can grab Don't Ever Punch a Rockstar as well through either my website, Amazon, or even the publisher. They sell them on their website. And I got events coming up. So if you're in Las Cruces or Tucson, or if I'm coming to Vegas or something like that, and you got a book, bring the book, I'll sign it. Or if you want to buy the book, come on out. I'm personable. I like to bullshit. We'll laugh, and it'll be a nice thing.
Right on, brother. Well, if you've listened to my podcast, it's called "Is Breakfast Included?"
Yes.
If we were having breakfast, which I'm sure we will one day, what would you have?
Corned beef hash. I fucking love corned beef hash. I dream about it. And I do like Eggs Benedict a lot. And I like the sauce from the Eggs Benedict in the corned beef hash.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, I meant to ask you this earlier. I'm going to ask you, and then I'm going to let you go. How'd you feel about Pee Wee passing away this week, man?
Man, I am happy that I got to do something before he died. I went to he did a tour right before COVID, and it was the week before COVID got bad, and he shut the whole tour down. But I got to go see Pee Wee's Big Adventure in the theater, and then Paul Rubens came out and did a Q&A was at this place in Phoenix. It was awesome. I was a huge Pee Wee fan. I joke around, but I've been saying it for a long time that his words, "I know you are, but what am I," was kind of a mantra to me to not let shit get under my skin. And listen, I drove past those dinosaurs just last week, on the way to California, which they're painting a bow tie on one of them right now. I saw in Cabazon right now, the Pee Wee dinosaur. But I was a huge fan. I even got a Cowboy Curtis figure back there, and a Pee Wee bobblehead somewhere around here. He's around here. Yeah. But I watch the show every Saturday. So,
yeah,
and the movies. And I just watched that other one that he did, the recent one with Joe Maganetta, Pee Wee's Big Holiday. It was brilliant. I only saw it the one time when it came out, and I rewatched it on Netflix last night. It was amazing.
Right on, man. Pee Wee was one of the first. My son, one of the first things we bonded over was Pee Wee. And then I showed him all the early stuff he did with Cheech and Chong,
and don't forget about the Blow and the Vampire Buffy the Vampire
Slayer,
Mystery Men. I think he's in that as well. He was brilliant. It's the last of that Groundlings generation that Elvira left. Most of them are all gone at this point. Of that whole group is what's his name was a big Groundling as well. The guy who played Zombie. He in Pee Wee's Playhouse, Jim something. I mean, he wrote one of Elvira's movies for her.
Yeah. Well, brother, thank you for your time again. It was good talking to you. It was good meeting you, and we'll keep in touch.
You got it, man. Let me make sure you hit me up. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever. We'll hang.
Will do. Danny Marianino. Man, I told you were going to dig that. Danny's a really cool guy. His book, Don't Ever Punch a Rock Star, is available. It's the 10th anniversary edition. It's got now with 12% more hate mail. Check out the book, man. It's just a small chapter that he talks about the incident of him knocking Glenn Danzig out. And he was judged by that. It did put him on a platform where he did this, but he turned all that hate mail into something pretty interesting and funny, and he's a good guy, and you can see that. I saw that meeting him. While you're at his website, totalgavone.com or dannymarianino.com, pick up his other books. It blows my mind. Belligerent Book of Movie Quotes. He's got 5 books, lots of merch. Check it out. Support. And while you're online buying shit, check out our merch, isbreakfast.bigcartel.com. Buy some of our shit. All right, guys, I am done. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week. Rest in peace, Pee Wee.